All right, everyone. Welcome back to AOK Island. We are on season 3 now, episode 1. It's been a good amount of time. When was our last game? June? In like
Yeah,
3-4 months or so.
June, yeah, I
Um,
think so.
so let's kick it off with a recap of what happened last season. I want to do a little bit more like a wider but shallower recap.
Okay.
Mistake.
Uh, Last season, we found ourselves in the politically contentious and decaying city of Arkaedyva,
Yes.
surrounded by the refugees of Gareth,
Who we never
and
met.
in turmoil between a begrudged faction of commoners and a divided government headed by none other than Dorian's family, specifically his mother. We were paraded around the town, noticing its decay, boyish wonder filling um, Dorian's eyes, and we were all kind of like, oh, "This place isn't doing so well." And we were, of course, welcomed at Caldwell Manor, and started kind of getting to work, um, uh, trying to figure out what was like going on in the place. Things really met ahead when we were the a party, or no, just a gathering. We were discussing with the family and found ourselves with a head, a bestial, corrupted head being thrust through the window, and kind of set us on a path that would all but break the party into pieces. Does anyone want to pick up from there? Or I
Sure.
can keep going.
So after the party had quite a few differences, a lot of things were being hidden from one another. A lot of different stances with some of these different factions had brought us to a head against one another as well. And as we kind of parted, a major event happened where the entire city of Arkaedyva kind of shook at its core when we went to investigate at the university. We had found out that a sort of strange experiment had gone horribly wrong with this machine that literally tore open a hole like into the fabric of the universe, and all of these strange entities were in there, and one of them happened to break out and into the university itself, where we chased it around, and using some clever teamwork and a pickaxe, we managed to take it down. But we were still faced with the issue of this portal now growing in size steadily.
I do want to point out the pickaxe used to take down the creature, specifically not taken with, and then I think like 2 or 3 more times.
Maybe 3, maybe 4.
The pickaxe. It was like, well, do you still have that pickaxe?
No.
No.
No. We
Well, that would have
definitely
been
don't.
super useful.
Oh, that'd have been great to have.
And that after that, we tried to kind of mend the wounds between the factions in Arkadyva. Alexander trying to schmooze his way into the group known as the Masks, which were comprised of the wretches and vagrants and infected of the city. Raleigh, of course, had allegiance to these people as well, but also was the captain of the guard for, I'm forgetting her name, but the matriarch Caldwell.
For Sybil Caldwell.
Sybil Caldwell. Dorian, of course, holding allegiance to his mother, and Anastas got themselves in deep with the Najit faction working underground in the city. We discovered that not only were they financing the Caldwells, but they were also the trade center for the coveted black sap, which is the only treatment for corruption, and so found themselves in a unique scenario, especially with Horatio, otherwise known as the Good Doctor, having been kind of the crux of what we wanted to find out, and being the epicenter of our adventures and our division. Came to a head when we eventually decided we are going to the headquarters of the Masks, which was the cathedral, and we were going to get to the bottom of this once and for all. We split up. We completely disagreed. Dorian was furious with Anastas on how the Najit handled the situation.
Very important detail. What was going on that led you guys like not to be communicating about the things that you needed to, but also like needing to find the sap? Because I think the sap had gotten stolen by this point. No. It did not get stolen.
Canonically, probably, but we didn't know.
We didn't know that.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted to bring up, the very important thing, that Dorian's father was dying.
Yeah, was dying
and
of corruption.
And that's what it was. Horatio, the Good Doctor, was needed to help treat the father.
Yes.
Oscar called.
So they needed that. And Anastas, to this point, I think was the only player that knew the true identity of Horatio, or of the Doctor as Horatio the Ninth.
I think somebody else had figured it out, and my guess is that it might have been Alexander.
Because Alexander accidentally
whatchamacallit, Homegirl definitely knew. Our redheaded lass, Bridget.
Yes,
certainly knew.
Sure.
So if anyone wanted, it was.
But Alexander ended up in his like apartment randomly because of like a teleport accident, right?
Yes.
Oh.
It was the priest. It was the priest's house.
Yeah, I always mix them up.
Yeah, I found the apartment. Yeah. And among these contentions was also not only the sick and dying father, the sick and dying corrupted, and a horde of feral Najit kept in the catacombs. So we really needed to get to the bottom of this. We really needed Horatio. We eventually came to a deal. We were going to do an exchange. There was Anastas had been bubbling up some uncertainties about Horatio, and used the opportunity at the exchange for this meager amount of sap we found in the Caldwell vault in exchange for the Doctor to kind of eke out some information, and shit veritably hit the fan afterwards. A major event would have been Horatio and Anastas going downstairs to begin treating the sick and infected. We were going to give some sap to the masks and make sure that the father gets treated, but Anastas smelt a snake, and Anastas, being a creature of action, decided to take out Horatio then and there and assume leadership themselves over this sect of the Najit, which
at the time was widely considered a bad move.
At the time was widely was crucified for the until we found out that Horatio was the villain of the story
the whole time. Yeah,
the whole time.
What were the
You assassinated my big bad evil guy before you even knew he was a big bad evil guy.
I knew he was. I just figured everything was more simple with Anastas in charge. I felt competent and capable, and I knew that the church at large was looking for Horatio. And what I didn't think was that Horatio himself thought himself the next pilgrim of the Najit Orthodoxy, and then activated his army of Najit. We had an epic boss battle with Horatio the 10th. We learned that he cannot be killed by conventional means. He has the ability to body swap a magic hitherto.
Did anyone figure that one out?
Body swapping?
You said, well, no, not the body swap. You mentioned that Horatio cannot be killed by ordinary means, which is something that you found out, and that he may return. Does anyone know how he may be killed?
Well,
didn't we decide it was like, did we try to use Golar on him?
You did
That's
not.
what
You did not try and use Golar.
I don't think Horatio. I don't know. I don't have enough evidence to suggest that he wasn't a Najit, but I think he has magic of the Yora.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If we had tried to kill him with like a piece of Golar, like that would have
He
killed him.
somehow found out how to spirit swap.
Yeah. Or he is a Najit, but he's somehow using like that magic.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah,
that's what I'm suggesting is that he likely somehow discovered Yora magic. Anyway, we defeat.
Oh no! Oh Patrick! Oh no! Oh no!
Okay. We defeat Horatio. Anastas is anointed, thus the leader of the remaining Najit, and is in charge of their doings. And then we have the midnight meeting, which was inevitably Anastas dragging the headmaster of the university to the meeting of the minds and allowing him to say, yo, reality is about to get swallowed by this rift. So if there's any more petty squabbling, squash it now.
So we can.
The midnight meeting happened before the Horatio thing. The thing that led you back to the university is after having defeated Horatio, you guys went outside and then saw the rift break into the air, like half a mile up.
Fix that.
At the meeting, we decided that, and then immediately after the meeting, the whole Horatio thing happened.
Yeah.
Then we went and
we talked about how Dorian's like fire powers got activated by one of the shock waves. There's so much crazy shit happening.
There's shock waves going out into the ether, and it's driving the corrupted insane. We've had several battles with absolutely apeshit corrupted.
When Alexander had to Left 4 Dead his way out of the infirmary.
He absolutely did. So
there was a lot of cool moments for everybody.
A lot of great moments for everybody. Everybody.
We'd be here all night just talking.
We were talking about that. That's true.
I am not against that idea.
I mean, we could. It could be our retrospective episode.
Yeah, but we do decide to tackle on the rift. We find ourselves in a destroyed and distraught university, fighting through horrors from another dimension, nearly TPK'd outside the university gates in a horrible way. I think I made it through the last few sessions with 7 HP as my highest. Was in a very, very, very difficult way, and we fought our way through the dungeons of Rui the Law, where the Aoka would hold fugitives, blasphemous fugitives. Found some lore, missed some lore. We had our first look at the Tanari. We got a first look at what the Aoka are in their essence. After defeating the steward of Rui the Law, we found ourselves in quite the battle.
Yes, because at that point you came down for crystals.
Yes.
You
Oh,
came
to try to power the machine to
Which we had then found.
I also just wanted to add the fact that we found like a crazy demonic looking type beast that said
and we
he
left
would,
him down there.
Dorian didn't want to, but I just wanted to, put the reminder that there was something weird down there that
I'm
wanted
sure that
us
won't
to
bite
help.
us in the ass.
Peach will never let this die.
Okay,
I'm sure we'll
just
never
wanted
see
to-
that character again.
This is like the single
I'm sure he
sad.
wasn't like some kind of great master of magics or something, something.
But
that
we
the
did
party
done
wizard
fuck
might
that
do.
up for you.
But I'm
Oh,
sure it's
and
not that big
then-
of a deal.
Wait a
But
second,
you did find access to a different school of a new school of magic
Rune magic,
was
right?
discovered.
Rune magic.
Rune magic, yes.
From when we fought Rui the Law. Like,
Because you guys went back upstairs, you now had crystals in hand,
We now had
thus to
crystals.
power the MacGuffin to close
The
the portal.
vortex was raging. The beasts from the other dimension were attacking in waves. We had to somehow escort the good scientist to his station to get him set up so he could attempt to close the rift. We were being encircled on all sides, and I think a snap decision, not to toot my own horn, but Anastas once again saves the campaign by running to the enemy that had yet had an activation. Instead of killing the one in front of Alexander, pins it to the wall, ties it up for a turn, and allows the doctor to activate the machine. However, it did not come without a cost. The god, the Oaken god, Rui itself, had to emerge and use up almost all of its power to close the rift for us, and did leave us with quite a bit of lore at the end. If Pat could give us a little recap of that.
Yeah, so Dorian approached Rui, who was like in a weakened state, and as way of thanks, Rui offered some understanding that it had, and Dorian got a glimpse at that understanding, which was that there is something fundamentally wrong with the universe, that there is an error in the coding, if you will, that something doesn't work right. And Dorian can't really explain it, but understands it, and kind of sees that there's this like flaw in the fundamental nature of things. At that point, we then went back to our friend Stone, who had been on his own journey. Don, do you want to talk about what Stone had gotten up to last season?
Yeah, so Stone had not joined the rest of the party at the beginning of the last season. And had left the monastery much later than everybody else after going through an experience at the Grave of Isho with some of the remaining monks of Isho, and using that as like a new guiding purpose to like go out into the world and bring these people with him and try to figure out like how are we going to recover from this, right? Like what does now look like, and also following the vision that he had of the guide stones or the way stones, that kind of pointed away. That was another kind of element of that, was like, look, got to figure out where these go. So at the end, after that journey, the Waystones pointed to, and I can't remember the name of the city.
It's not a city. Let's jump to the map.
Okay.
So the ruins of Ur over here,
right,
is where the Waystones led.
It's still loading for me, but yes, I remember. Yeah, it was a ruined city, or like a set of ruins,
like an enormous ruined city. Yeah.
Right, and from there found like a little shrine and kind of a door set on the other side of the shrine that was like I think it read something like only the unnamed may enter, or something like that, or something to that effect. After using Witch Sight, which was really cool, and stepping through and leaving his companions behind, found himself in this enormous underground space, and like off in the distance of this place, like something howled. And it was something that Stone had heard before.
Yes. Where had Stone heard this before?
Stone heard that in his vision from Isho after we first regained a fragment of soul.
Yeah.
That was Stone's vision, was that thing.
Yeah.
The most horrible, horrible sound that he had ever heard.
All right. Before we jump right into it, does anyone have any questions or clarifications about what happened last season?
There were some pretty dope lightning guns. That was the thing.
The lightning guns
There
were
were
a
some
thing.
pretty
Yes.
dope lightning
Yes.
guns.
Were indeed.
Just felt that needed a little bit of a nod.
It was kind of a major plot point for a while.
Yeah. It was pretty
Listen,
big.
Okay, and if we're gonna talk about like dope new mechanics and weaponry, there was also like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde potion of corruption going around, and like
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
headmaster was
Oh, yeah.
microdosing, like
Yeah, it was microdosing on
The
corruption.
changing tincture of midnight.
yeah, yep,
Not to mention all of our own abilities being awoken throughout
Yeah.
all of that.
Oh yeah, all of us had a moment.
All right, we're gonna jump right into it. Back with Stone.
Ooh, God,
As-
nice.
As we ended, so we shall begin. The light radiating from the underground sea is black and undulating. Dappled, it writhes across your skin, and in the gloomy quiet of the grand cavern, you hear distant the lapping of those waves. Beneath the surface, you can see shapes, sort of amorphous and ill-defined, sliding through like fish without form. Thousands upon thousands of them undulate against one another, millions perhaps. The vastness of it is staggering. Though dimly illumined by the sea itself, you cannot see to the opposite side of the cavern. Below you, the ancient ruins of some structure peek from behind the rocks. But as you move towards it, that great soul-wrenching cry echoes from beyond, shaking the caverns and your bones to their very core.
Ooh.
Okay. So, Stone, what do you want to do?
Oh, jeez. What do I want to do? So there's a building below me.
Yeah, there seems to be so you're sort of on this cliff face. There is a staircase leading down in stone through the rocks, and below you, yeah, you can see a strange structure, unlike any architecture you've really seen before, nestled amongst the rocks on the shoreline.
Okay. I think I'm gonna try to make my way down to that. Being very intimidated by the sound that he just heard, that was, an echo of that previous time.
Yeah.
Stone decides to continue forward.
Okay. So you sort of carefully make your way down this small staircase, the small stone staircase. The worn stone stair ends at a small overlook, reaching out over that luminescent black expanse, and you are startled to see standing there, hunched and leaning upon a gnarled staff, a withered, ancient Karovid. It is staring out at the sea, and in the vast quiet, you can hear the whisper of a hum, an ancient melody that is so familiar, but which you cannot place. The humming stops as you notice the creature. You have entered a place meant not for the living, and yet you have been expected, son of Isho. I welcome you. The creature's voice is cracked and withered as he is, as if it has not been used in a very, very long time. His accent is thick and you cannot place it. Perhaps a product of the bygone age from which he hails.
What do you mean, expected?
There is one who has come before you, and now waits below.
And who might that be?
I do not know. There is but one rule we use here, that none shall be given names. To be nameless is the only way to hear the words of that which is nameless. I ask you, use not a name while here, son of Isho, and give none to any you meet.
I see. And why are you here?
I have been here for 1,000 years, such that my name could pass out of all existence and be forgotten by everyone, including myself. And now I am here only to serve and hear the words of the Great Nameless. He gestures out at the sort of great sea, the great black sea before you.
And what is the Nameless?
The Nameless is... I am sorry, the words do not come easily to me. It has been long since I used them. The Nameless is called Aoka, but it is not Aoka. It is something greater, something separate, and which has been here since the time of the unknowable, and perhaps longer. It is the gathering place. It is the road down which all roads end.
Well, I suppose if I'm expected in such a place, it would be rude to leave. Thank you for your explanation.
If you have need of anything while you are here in our sanctuary, please let me know. I advise you meditate on the nature of the soul and of death, for that is the domain of the Nameless. And perhaps you will learn something while you are here. He leads you down the staircase and into an ancient structure. The structure is of an alien design. Like I said before, it's unlike anything that you have ever seen before, and you don't think that it was built by either Hadron or human hands. It is full of sharp edges and wide circular spaces, and you cannot tell how long it has been here. Whether it is as ancient as your guide says, or if it has been more newly built. So foreign is it to you. And as you walk through it, you can hear the whispers and the vague outlines of ghosts and spirits sort of passing through hallways around you and disappearing into walls. All of them headed for the seashore, the same direction that you are headed now. By the seashore, wrapped in a velvety black cloak and staring down at the hazily glowing waves of darkness, is a small child, human-sized by your estimates, but smaller even. Your guide sort of like bows to you and then backs up, and says nothing, but disappears behind you, leaving you on this beach with the small child.
Hello. I was told someone was expecting me.
And you have been expected, chosen of Isho. My vigil for thee hath been long. Come, sit beside me a moment, and let us discuss things great and small, as is fit for a meeting of one such as yourself, and one such as I. The creature's voice is small and a little raspy, and when it turns its head, you see sallow, dead skin and milky eyes that nonetheless seem deep and black as the sea beside you. My name is Natasha, and I too have been chosen by Isho. I am the first and last of his servants, the pilgrim, and I beseech thee, Stone, hear my tale of woe, the tale of the first pilgrim. Meanwhile,
I've got goosebumps, like literal goosebumps.
So meanwhile, the rest of you are in Arkaedyva. It has been about 3 months since the events of the closing of the portal. In that time, you've been sort of rebuilding the city. The council has been sort of reformed and gone through some changes. Due to the events of 3 months ago, the council has been like repopulated, and there's a new council in place. I want each of you to name one person that you think should be on the council.
Do you want to pick who goes first?
No, but whoever has an idea can go first.
Was the headmaster for previously on the council?
No. The headmaster was not previously on the council because he hates politics.
Yeah, I would name a member of the university appointed by the headmaster, which, I mean, I'm sure Dorian would pick her had he gone first, but
hey, he could have gone first. He didn't speak up.
Yeah, our goats
It's true.
are the glue that held us all together. It is
I picked Millie.
Okay. So Millie representing the university, though. Okay.
Beautiful.
I agree, and I next choose Dorian's mom. No, I am choosing. I would say Raleigh.
Ooh, interesting.
Throwing
Okay.
Raleigh on there. throw our boy on there.
That's a great choice. That's a tremendous choice.
Oh,
That's a tremendous choice.
oh God.
Shit, which leaves Anastas. Is this Talon
Sorry.
anointing a person?
This is Talon. Talon is the player.
Talon.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Bridget or the preacher.
Sure.
I think it has to be the preacher, but
I would go the preacher, especially with Raleigh.
the fact that yeah.
Okay.
Raleigh made it onto the council, but Bridget didn't. That is the exact opposite of the outcome that
She comes from the same family as a former council member. It wouldn't have been ethical to elect the daughter of.
Yeah.
He's also pretty well
would have been
connected
if she
with
was
several
elected.
members.
Yeah, what if she was elected?
Well, that was the voters' contention. They're like, well, she's up for nomination, but she's just the she's just the daughter. The public just thinks she's the daughter.
Vote in the mercenary.
Well,
captain.
some of the public think she's like the aristocracy thinks she's just the daughter, but like a lot of people know that she's not.
If you were going to choose for the public eye who's going to represent the same cause,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
It would naturally be the Reverend.
Okay. So
Raleigh also is a hero of the realm right now.
So was everybody else.
Yeah, but we're bouncing. We're fucking out of here.
We're not staying.
Later, losers.
On the ballot, like, come on.
But Raleigh also, like, he knows the party. He understands the nature of the universe a little bit more than everyone else. It's only appropriate.
He seems shit.
You're not representing.
That was
Raleigh isn't representing.
I think
the mercenaries. Raleigh is representing the party and what's going on in the world.
So, do we want a separate mercenary representative?
I think it makes sense if they could somehow. Well, I think Raleigh could be both in one.
I think that the Red Cloak guy should be the other should be the independent mercenary
Captain
representative.
Not Jean de Claw.
Jean de Claw.
All right.
That's a good one.
And for my part, I am going to be choosing Captain John of Bilthrin, who was sort of the refuge. He was with the refugee leader.
Oh, yeah.
You guys totally missed him last season.
We totally didn't talk to him.
But we're bringing him back. He's gonna.
I tried. We did not talk to them. We just sent the wrong person. A trend that was present throughout the campaign was sending the wrong people to do the right jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have John. Okay, so I've got Millie, Raleigh, John, the preacher, and who was the last one?
Millie, preacher.
The other John.
John.
John and John.
Oh boy.
It's so terrible having two Johns on the same council.
Yeah, the history of England is the story of Williams and Johns, so I don't want to hear it.
It's true.
Okay, excellent.
There was a Richard or two.
Yes.
All right. Dorian, you also are sitting on the council while you are here for right now, overseeing the transition, along with your good friend Raleigh. And you are sitting at a wide circular table atop Arkaedyva's city hall. Dappled light streams in from the high windows above in rays that reflect blindingly off the glasses and polished chandelier hanging above you. Your head pounds sharply in stabbing lances through your skull, as if the light itself pierces your eyes to the fleshy tissue inside, all of which has tensed in anticipation of it. A fat, small man with a sharp, whining voice and grimy hands whistles with a contemptuous squeak at the head of the round council chamber, going on for far too long, about what you cannot even remember. The pain radiating from that behind-the-eye flesh so white-hot you can barely hear yourself think, much less anyone else. You tried to pay attention, you really, really did, but the incessant pounding has made it simply impossible. You are haunted by the knowledge that there is something wrong. Something ineffable and unexplainable, but fundamental to the universe. And every time that it comes to your mind, you are bludgeoned by this headache that every moment threatens to consume you. Who are my characters here? Okay. And Dorian, how do you vote on Lord Billings' proposal? John asks. You notice that the entire council is now staring at you.
That's... Yeah, sure, that's fine. I think I need a recess.
Very well. We will then go ahead with Lord Billingsley's proposal, and the lords shall be given loans in order to purchase labor from the desperate refugees, rather than turning the farms over to the refugees who are currently working them.
You son of a bitch.
Very well. And we are adjourned.
So, afterwards, like, we're walking down, like, so, did you fall asleep, or?
Odds I wish. Sleep. No, Raleigh, I couldn't follow what he was saying. Ever since that incident, I've just been having these horrible, horrendous pounding headaches. I couldn't pay attention. I'm sorry.
Right, well, I mean, if you're not feeling well, you know, we can hold off on business, at least for a little while.
Yeah, that would be good.
All right, I'll talk to the rest, and yeah, let's take a few days. We've been going at it breakneck since, well,
I'm going to try and get some rest.
Aye, that sounds like a good idea, lad.
Dorian leaves.
Excellent. My next scene got a little screwed up because we elected Raleigh
elected me to the council.
to the council, but that's okay.
I live dangerously.
It's
Raleigh,
later in the day.
later that day, after having finished up your in fact, no. Okay. So Raleigh watches as Dorian walks away down the Arkaedyvan streets and looks back at the council chambers, where even now that grubby Lord Billingsley is speaking with Captain John. And rather than walking back into the council chambers, Raleigh turns around and walks to the bar. And we find Alexander and Raleigh at the crowded Oaken Barrel Inn, enjoying a friendly game of cards and a pint of ale.
Several pints of ale. I had to wait for him to get here.
Excellent. Around you, the bar is semi raucous. And there are several off-duty members of the Red Guard, the Brass Jacks, and other mercenary companies here, and all of them enjoying some relative peace in the city and well-earned time off. You guys are in the middle of a pretty high-stakes hand, and Raleigh, you. How good is your hand?
I mean, you know, it could be better, I suppose, but not by much.
Alexander, what is your hand like? In fact, actually, what I want you to do is I want you each to give me a bluff check. Or a deception. I can't remember what it's called here. Do we have
discreet?
Discreet. Yes, I want a discreet check from each of you.
Oh shoot. Okay, hold on. I gotta get my Raleigh character sheet up.
Hang on, I need to go grab my dice. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I will also wait. Yo.
Bring it on, old man.
I can't hold it. I gotta pee so bad.
We're at the same age, you twat.
Well, so I talk like that fish from SpongeBob now. Big meaty claws. That's Alexander
changed
in 3 days.
3 months.
3 months, yeah.
Okay. I am going to DM each of you real quick.
Do we have time? Can I go pee real quick? Talon also went pee.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you gonna give us what our roll is or something?
I'm gonna tell you what cards you have in your hand.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just out of curiosity. I gotta ask: did you have different answer if I had refused his?
Oh yeah, you fucked it up either way.
Well, I'm just curious because that's on it. I thought it was gonna go bad no matter what. But
okay, we can talk about it. So, you find out from Raleigh later that the dilemma placed before you was that there were several because of threats of war and corruption and people dying, a lot of the farms in the area around Arkaedyva have been left and have not been tended for a long time. The lords who run those farms are very low on money. The economy is shit, and so the fields are just not getting worked. But that means that people are going to starve. A group of entrepreneurial refugees have just banded together and started working the fields because they want to reap the reward of that food. But the lords are like, that's our land. You can't work that. And that food is ours. You're going to have to turn that over to us. So voting yes is siding with the lords, giving them a loan, and they're going to be purchasing labor from the refugees. Although it sounds like it might be like a slave labor situation, or at least very harsh working conditions. It doesn't sound great. The other voting no against the proposal was to allow the refugees to work, and then they could gain the fruits of their own labor rather than having to be paid for it. So,
I was just curious.
Okay. So
I was just curious if you.
How?
What was that?
Who was voting how on the council?
Oh, excellent question. So the two John, the refugee Don votes for the refugees. The card captain John voting for the status quo is that we should get the money should go to the lords. Yep. Who else do we have on the council?
Millie.
The preacher voted for the lords as well. Millie voted for the refugees. Raleigh, which way did you vote?
Voted for the refugees.
Voted for the refugees. And miscellaneous fourth member voted for the to make it so that Dorian actually had to make the decision. Yeah. Okay.
Probably should have just looked at Millie and got the gauge of what the fuck I should have said there.
You had two friends on the council.
Yeah. Is what it is. Dorian just wanted to get the hell out of there.
All right, so now we have to make our bluff checks.
Yes.
I have not gotten my DM yet.
Oh, I got mine.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. 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 All right. Discreet check then?
Yep.
Well, I assume all around the board?
I
Nice.
succeed
with a 5.
The 5.
Oh no. That's not
Okay.
very cash money of me at all.
So, Raleigh, you're pretty sure that Alexander has a pretty decent hand. Alexander, you're pretty sure that Raleigh thinks he has a decent hand, but you're pretty confident that your hand is better.
Okay.
So, Raleigh, you want to increase the pot,
Yep.
but you look into your bag and there is nothing there, save for 1 coin. Do you know what coin it is?
Yeah, I sure do.
Okay.
It's the luck coin.
I'll let you guys take it from here.
Raleigh reaches into his bag. And he pulls out that coin. And he looks at it and he looks at you. He says, I think that this should be enough to cover my difference. Yeah?
You know, most people hang on to that during their exchange of cards.
Well, that wouldn't be very interesting, would it?
Indeed. Well,
You
you're
can't
either...
call it before I toss it in the pot.
Hmm?
Call it. And he flicks it into the air.
Is it heads or tails, Patrick? Is it a normal coin?
Even is heads. Well, are you going to call it in the air?
Call it in the air, baby.
Tails.
Evens is heads, odds are tails. That's a 5. Odd. Tails.
Tails.
Looks like the luck's turning my way, isn't it, Captain?
Well, let's find out. And he throws it in.
Okay. All right. So, Alexander, are you in? Are you going to match or not?
In.
In. Excellent. You flip over your cards. Raleigh reveals
Pair of aces.
and Alexander reveals
A straight flush.
Alexander scoops up the pile. Exactly how much gold is in this pile right now?
Raleigh?
Thousands.
There's gold?
Look, Mr. Squidward, money!
Money.
Well, okay, he gave away all of his money to the widow. What is the stipend for a council member?
Ooh.
Important information.
Is it your whole stipend? Like,
It is my entire stipend.
it's the whole stipend. Okay. I literally just do not have a frame of reference here for what the economics of this
sounds
system looks
reasonable to
like.
A full dollar is $100. We decided that long ago.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, $10?
So let's say that it's my last, like, whatever my last stipend was, because we've been at this for 2 months. So
Sure. So let's say that it's 2,000. So $200.
$200.
$200. Or wait. Did I do my math wrong?
That'd be
Is that-
about $2,000. Right?
$2,000?
About $2,000. Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's his whole
100%.
stipend, man.
It's
Yeah.
it's my whole stipend. It's what I live on. I can't be a mercenary while I'm on the council.
No, wait. Did we say that a taller is $10 or $100?
$100.
Oh,
It was
so then
$100.
it's 20. It's $20.
$20. Okay. All right. That seems more reasonable.
Oh yeah, dumb math numbers.
Yep. Numbers and math are hard. Okay. Awesome.
Well, I'm glad that I did this first then. And he pulls out a little box, and he opens the box, and he shows you a ring. And it's like just a very delicately little like silver ring with a small blue stone in it. And that blue stone almost seems to crackle a little bit with like some energy inside. And he says, I carried a single bullet for ages. Never got more ammo. It was that one bullet I was always saving for the last shot, and I never took it. And I had them fit this to this ring so that I could take that shot, and I could do it in the far better way. I'm gonna ask Bridget to marry me.
Oh, Raleigh, I've been so waiting for this day. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank
and I'll
you.
give him a bring him in for a hug. Well, I think considering the council and life of marriage ahead, and he'll hand him back the ring of luck, I think you'll need all of this.
Oh,
no.
You know the rules. You don't win it, you don't get it. You're gonna need this a lot more than I will. I'm already the luckiest man alive.
Well, it's a good thing I won then, because with drinks on the house tonight. And another round, barkeep!
Excellent.
Insert the most ironic line you could say after losing that pot.
Yeah.
That was shot beer all over my camera.
Raleigh took an arrow to the knee, y'all.
Respect. Respect, Raleigh.
Awesome. Okay. Meanwhile, Anastas is not in the city of Arkaedyva. We find Anastas headed back to Gareth, I believe. Right?
With Constantine, correct?
With Constantine.
That's what I thought, but I was going to wait for you to tell me what was going on.
Sure, yeah.
Because we left Constantine's subordinates in charge of the father and what's going on in the...
Yeah, absolutely. If you would like Constantine with you, that is completely fine. If you
He's
want
my receipts.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Anastas, it has been barely more than half a year since you left Gareth's prison behind, following a Corrovid and 2 humans along the trail of an insignificant god. The city has changed much in that time. Even since meeting Valentian before you set out for Arkaedyva, there is barely a living person on the streets, and those there you do see are escorted by several Najit, like kings or prisoners you cannot tell. As you pass one escorted thusly, an old man wearing fine but dirty and worn clothes, he averts his eyes from you, bowing slightly and whispering, "My lord," as if out of reverence or fear. You cannot tell. This is not exactly the music that I'm going for here.
And 2 seconds, I'm gonna get Brant out of my room for just a second.
Sure.
Actually, I'm gonna pee then really quick.
Suppose I will too.
What nefarious deeds he'll get into out there, I will not know.
Both of them left. Well, we'll forge on.
Okay.
You wind your way up the road of the city of Gareth towards the blue way that once connected the Temple of Isho with the Iron Keep on the other side. And after asking around a little bit, you find Valentian in the Iron Keep, hosting a meal of sorts for some select chosen guests. You enter a grand hall, likely the king's feast hall or what had been prior to his death. The room is packed with ruddy, soiled humans of every variety, many starving, emaciated assemblages of flesh. You cannot help but pity them, fleshy and vulnerable as they are. They all surround a table, guarded by several Najit, and at the head of the table Valentian stands, apparently having been orating at length. We are here to shepherd in a new era for the Turai, together and in the pilgrim's footsteps, seizing our birthright. He holds aloft a goblet as if in toast. The goblet emits a tar-colored black smoke, sort of billows around him. To the first and to the last, he says, and at this the ravening hordes descend upon the table of food, monstrous and bestial. Though Valentian has no lips, you swear that you can see him smile. And as he notices you, he waves you over to join him atop his throne, looking down at the feeding frenzy going on in the center of the room. Constantine, looking at this, mumbles under his breath, "This is barbaric."
And yet, barbarism has its place. And Anastas specifically does not look at what's going on at the table, and kind of ushers Constantine to do the same, and makes the pair make their way to Valentian.
Valentian, atop this throne, looking down, motions for you to come up next to him. He's looking down at the people, and he sighs and says, "I cannot remember the taste of food, but what I recall of eating is the satisfaction of having been fed. Intoxicating. What do you recall of your previous life, Anastas?"
I recall mud and crawling and the pain of my flesh scraping across the stones. It is not a feeling of which I ponder on often.
He looks at you curiously. And you remember nothing from before that?
My life ended long ago, Valentian, and what little I had was under the cruelty of the Hadra on the Andaran Bay.
He then says something in a language you do not understand, and looks at you quixotically.
Pardon me, I did not catch.
For a moment he looks confused. I would have thought you for certain. Never mind. I hear our problem in Arkaedyva has been dealt with? He asks.
Word travels quicker than apparently me and my steward. Yes, we have routed the rogue Horatio, and we have sent him into his next life, so it would seem.
You are doing the good work of the pilgrim. I shall send word of this along to my superiors in Karstadt, which I suggest is your next stop.
That was our itinerary, yes. What, pray tell, do you know of what the rogue Najit was preaching or thought of himself?
I did not know, only that there was a Najit operating not under the guidance of the pilgrim.
Most certainly not. Apparently, their interpretation of the old texts was that the title of pilgrim is one that may be passed on, and there was contention on who may be the next.
It is naught but heresy. Put it out of your mind.
No doubt heretical, but an infection all the same.
Which is why it is doubly important that we root out this infection wherever we can find it. Now,
I find it curious
Mm.
that one of your stature indulges in such entertainment.
The people of Gerth are starving. I can provide for them, and they should know who it is that is providing.
Well, you deserve such pride. And
Before you
prostrate.
go, when last you were here, we spoke of another matter. Have you learned anything more of this experience of yours?
I feel its power is true. Constantine, my steward, may elaborate on what he saw.
Constantine sort of looks warily at you and at Valentian. I do not know what it is that I saw, but it was powerful and I believe sent to us. There's great power in this one. What sort of power?
A power that perhaps may be best interpreted from the pontiff himself. Your words of writing to Koshtop are accurate. There are forces we have discovered in this world that bewilder the teachings of the Orthodoxy. One we must digest.
I have a suggestion, Anastas.
Of course.
For I do not think that you will find in the pontiff a receptive ear to outside forces, as you put it. But there is one in Karstadt who may be able to provide answers for you. Her name is Yelesnia. She is an archivist of the Diocese of Knowledge. She has been exploring some tomes some would consider heretical, but that have nonetheless given us glimpses into the possibilities of the Hadra. I am not saying we should embrace such things, but we should understand them, and if you have matters such as these, she could be a valuable ally for you.
A dangerous road to travel, no doubt. However,
Certainly.
I respect that too. To search dark seas, one must dip their oar in blackness. What was her name once more?
Yelesnia.
Yelesnia. Of Diocese knowledge. What has been known of the Pontiff in the modern era? I find it curious he would not wish to speak.
He is troubled of late by a great many things, and Anastas, I caution you to be careful in who you choose to trust, especially amongst those you find in Kashtap.
A lesson, I assure you, I've learned well on my travels. I will search for Ostuart in Diocese knowledge. I am troubled by your words. However, it paints a clear picture that it's time Anastas the Real prostrates before the cathedral.
Agreed. Just then, you hear a shout from behind you, and several of the guests seem to have broken out into a brawl. One boorish-looking man versus three smaller, and they descend upon him. One of them, brandishing a knife, stabs him multiple times in the chest, and as he dies, they begin eating him. Right then and there, taking huge chunks of flesh out with their teeth.
Valentia!
Let the humans handle their disputes. We are not tyrants, after all.
There's a long pause as Anastas watches the brutality, flooded with memories of their own. Remember your parting words. We are not as adept at turning humans to our kind, living to Najit. They may be best served alive. And Anastas will make his way with Constantine through the raucous, kind of pushing people aside and away.
Excellent. Stone. You are staring out at the Soul Lake beside the first pilgrim. I would guess I am not the person you expected here to find, Stone. She stops herself. Here to find Isho's chosen. For my part, neither are you who I thought I would be met with either. But in some ways you are exactly the sort I need, and I am certain you could say the same for me. The waves of inky water lap upwards towards you. At least you are fairly sure it's water. Now, sitting so close, watching it writhe, you are not as sure. The truth is... She pauses. Truth. Such a curious thing. Her words hang like cobwebs in the air. I need you, Stone, for a task I cannot on my own complete. But to understand why, you must first understand why I came to it in the first. Will you listen to my tale? Yes, no dialogue box comes up.
I was about to say no.
No. Very well.
Oh, okay, bye.
I was a sickly girl before I died. My family was poor. We were living in the oppression of the Hadra, and once I died, Have you died, Stone? It is a strange experience. I felt myself become one with everything around me, reuniting with the universe once more, and yet I was pulled from that completeness by an inky black tentacle. That completeness is alluring. Some cannot withstand its pull. And that is why not all rise such as I have. I was taken in then by a good man. And that good man preached of the future of my people. And yet, around him and those teachings bred such violence. And so I ran. And it was at this point that I met Isho once again. And I learned from him, and he taught me why I was the way that I was. Do you see this lake? Do you see how the water line has fallen? She points, and there's on the rock face, you can see that the water line has fallen several feet from its previous high. Do you know why the water is low?
I do not.
This is the place where all souls return once they have been forgotten. The water is low because there are souls that have not returned that ought to have. There are souls that were stolen. They were stolen a long, long time ago. Isho thought that by joining our bodies with our souls, he could protect us from this world as it has been created. But he was not powerful enough to do so. That joining was imperfect. There is a way to make the joining more perfect, and I spent years searching for it. And I think that when I found it, I did not realize that it was never meant for me. And so I came here to wait for someone who would be powerful enough, who would be wise enough to pass the door that I could not pass. I believe that that person is you.
I feel a bit silly asking this as my first question, but for my own clarity, what do you mean by joining? And why is it imperfect?
Have you met Najit other than myself?
I have.
We are shells of what we had been. Cannot taste, cannot feel. For many of us, it is hard even to experience joy. All that it means to be alive is gone from us. And I wish desperately to have that back. And if not, then to pass, as these souls do, into the sea. But we are prevented from doing so. That is why it is imperfect. That joining of body and soul. It did not save us. It cursed us.
And you say that this was all of Isho's plan.
I do not think he intended for it to turn the way that it had. The place that I am asking you to go, he could not go on his own. It required a champion, which he did not have. What do you know of the city of Karstop?
Only that it is a place of your kind.
It is not a place of my kind. It is a place of your kind.
Perhaps once.
And still, I was there when the city fell. I've seen what has become of it. Trust me when I say that there is power that lies latent there. There is power which lasted. Do you know why a city was built there?
I do not.
When the Aoka had created the world, this world that we stand in now, they hid something there. It was the source of their power. It was the thing that allowed them to create this world as they have. But something was wrong, and so they hid it away. They captured it so that it could do no harm. And that capturing, that binding, it leaves a mark on a place. And so when the Endara came to that land, they could feel that pull, they could feel that presence of the Aoka, and so they built a city there and called it holy, and built shrines to each of their gods. It is said that by walking the path of the Aoka, by understanding each of them and receiving their blessing at each of the shrines in Karstop, one would be able to find that which had been bound there. Would be able to pass the door and into that place which is hidden. When Karstop fell, I went to follow the path of the Aoka. The path was not meant for me to follow. I was incapable of it. Because to do so, one must understand each of the Aoka, and I could not. But you who are a child of both the Hadra and of Isho, could perhaps and find the power that was hidden and correct the mistake, correct this flawed joining. I think that this is why you were sent.
Then I have only one more question. Where do I begin?
You are going to need something that will allow you into the city, which I think that I can teach to you, but it will come at some cost.
Any cost.
There is magic among my people that allows one to pass unnoticed. But to do this, you will take corruption into yourself. The magic was not meant for you. I believe that you will need it to enter the city, to find the shrines, obtain the blessings, and pass that doorway. Are you willing to learn?
Yes.
Then let us begin. Okay, Stone. You can learn the mystical power unnoticeable. Unnoticeable?
One of the two.
However, you are doing so without knowing the having spent points into the tradition, and so you will take permanent corruption learning the power.
How much?
That is a great question. What does the book say? This is one of those areas where I despise the book because it is not laid out in a way that I think makes the most sense, because I think the rules for this are in the corruption section and not the spells section.
I ask also because I already have 5 permanent corruption.
Ooh.
Okay.
You have 5 permanent corruption?
Yes.
What did you do?
Give him 1. Make it 6.
Okay.
So 8 is the threshold.
In fact, learning a mystical power or ritual.
Then I will get a permanent sign of corruption. And then I think it resets down by a certain amount or something like that. But I keep like half. I think that's how it works, because I don't go abomination until 16.
Okay. So it is 1 permanent corruption for learning a mystical power or ritual.
Okay.
If your corruption threshold is reached, you develop a physical stigma, while permanent stigma remains until permanent corruption is reduced through ritual.
Barky barky.
Okay. I need...
So I'm at 6. I am at 6 permanent corruption if I do this. I could cast a single spell and get a very, very noticeable stigma.
You are going to need to work on that. That is going to have to be a quest of yours.
That is going to need to be a priority after this.
Wait, your spell casting is... It's not
D4.
temporary?
Oh, it is temporary. But do you remember how long a scene lasts?
The day, the thing.
Yeah, it's not just like a it's not exactly
not just
a
like
session,
the end of an
but
encounter.
No.
Yeah. 2 things.
It would be very problematic.
Pat, were you asking for a 5?
I was asking for a 5, yes.
Secondly, is your intention to have us reconvene in Arkaedyva?
That was my intention, yes.
Yeah, I just have a small little conversation I want to have with Constantine.
Oh,
and
you
then
got stuff. You got stuff that is going to happen to you before we get there.
Sorry. All right.
So yes, you can. It will work that in. But that'll be just fine. Let's take a 5. See you at 7:15.
I finally have art down here.
Okay.
All right, we are back to it. This is not the appropriate music any longer. Let's get back to... Oh, I don't know.
Hellish screams from the beyond.
Oh, this is way too intense. This one was fine.
The Doom soundtrack.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so back in Arkaedyva, Alexander and Dorian, when you return to the Caldwell Manor, you are handed from the butler, whose name is Filch.
Yep.
Mr. Filch, the butler, hands you a summons from Headmaster Nikolai of the university to meet with him whenever you are able. But other than that, the game is yours. Is there anything that you want to do in Arkaedyva?
I'm sorry, an invitation from who?
The headmaster.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Time of day is it?
What time of day do you want it to be?
I don't know.
4 p.m.
Okay, so Alexander had to sleep off a hangover, and Dorian had to sleep off a migraine. And so let's say it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. You're starting your day.
Well, Dorian, I have nothing better to do today. I think we could head right over.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good to me.
Quite yourself.
No, no, Alexander, I'm not. Let's just go.
I won't pry then. We go. Alexander assumes there's something to do with Millie.
Millie's got better shit to do. She's a council member, dude.
Yes.
Okay, so you wind your way through Arkaedyva, and Alexander, you are struck with how, even in the few months you have been here, how less tense things feel, how more secure they feel than when you first came. When you arrive at the gates to the university, however, you are reminded how not everything has changed for the better. The body of Rui the Law, the Aoka, yet slumbers in the courtyard of the Arkaedyva University, dominating it, but still as a statue, slumbering and unmoving for these past 3 months. You can feel his presence as you approach the gates. You can feel that humming in the air, and the scar of the rift still wavers and shimmers in the air above him.
Dorian
Go ahead.
Dorian, upon seeing this, stops and just stares for a few moments, kind of wringing his hands a bit nervously, just staring. And then, after a while, slowly turns and goes up the steps.
Professor Nikolai's office has been shorn. One of the walls has yet to be rebuilt, and it stands open out to the courtyard. And he stands there at the precipice of the cliff face. Beyond, the curled, slumbering corpse of the black-skinned stone Aoka Rui yet sits at the very center of the rift. And the creature's body does not stir, but you can almost feel his thoughts, distant, as if he's trying to speak, you cannot hear it. One wonders, the headmaster starts, if it shall ever truly awake. He trails off. Just then, the Aoka shifts just slightly, almost imperceptibly, but enough that crows perched upon him suddenly take flight. Yet alive, it seems, he murmurs.
I suppose anything is possible, Headmaster.
Indeed. Thank you for meeting me here. As I have finished the battery of tests that I performed,
What sorts
have the
of
results of the tests that you underwent those months ago. And regrettably, I have been able to find no proof of this soul, of this spirit, other than in its obvious effects on you. This is distressing, to say the least. It means that I have no way of transferring what has been done to you to the other people of this city, and we yet have no solution to our problems. I do have other news.
There were no results of any kind on those tests.
Your blood, your bodies, your stool samples, urine samples, I was able to find nothing to differentiate you from the common man. There is something there, certainly, but I cannot find it.
What if it's not connected to the flesh? Some sort of, I don't know, much like that rift you had been working on. What if it's coming from some sort of
A
outside
field,
source?
you say?
Yes, or a rift of some kind that I have some kind of connection with.
And that's where we come to my next point. For I did find something of note. The lumidium crystals, as we know, react to heat. This is how we are able to charge them and from them extract electrical signals. Yet there is some lumidium which does not react to heat. It reacts to something else entirely. Something that makes it rather useful.
A different variation on lumidium crystals.
He pulls out a small purple crystal that is attached to a necklace, and he holds it out, and it is glowing just faintly.
Have I seen something like this before in my trips in the Andaran ruins?
You have seen purple crystals like this, but you did not know what they did. It was assumed that it was a type of quartz or inert lumidium. And as he's holding it, it's glowing just slightly, and he walks over to the precipice where he holds it up, and as he holds it towards the rift, or where the rift had been, it starts to glow more brightly. He throws the necklace to Alexander. I believe that it reacts to corruption.
Does it do anything in Alexander's hands?
Alexander, do you have any corruption? My guess is no.
No, I had some temporary. I assume
temporary would be all gone by now. So no, you do not.
So no.
He sighs. Well, there goes that theory.
I'll hand it to Dorian.
No need. I have two. And he hands another one to Dorian.
I'm curious. You said that this specifically does not react to heat.
It does not.
But it does to a form of corruption.
Correct. At the very least, it should provide you advanced warning should you come into an area which has corruption. I am hoping that you two being you two, you will run into various forms of corruption more than we have here, and can perhaps learn more about what the purple crystals do.
That is, of course, unless we ourselves are laden with corruption.
It doesn't appear to be the case. But
yes,
and if we become so, we'll find out very quickly, won't we?
You certainly will.
Well, thank you, Headmaster. This should prove quite useful.
What is your next step?
I believe we will be heading off to the city of Karstop in search of more answers, seeing as even you and all of your great staff were not able to find something within the physical. I would like to go to the city of Karstop to see if perhaps history has anything to teach about our condition.
It is a dangerous city, Kashtop. I would advise you exercise caution.
You mean as opposed to Arkaedyva? Dorian gives a little chuckle after the events of what all we just went through.
I suppose you have a point.
I'm beginning to learn, the more that I travel outside of Arkaedyva, that the world is most decidedly not a safe or honorable place.
Perhaps the gods just have it in for you.
Perhaps.
It does make one wonder. Now that we know there are other realms about, are all the Aoka simply creatures of other worlds, happened upon this one by providence or artifice? We may never know, but it raises questions about our origins.
That it does.
Perhaps also a solution, if indeed a stable portal can be created. Perhaps there are other worlds for humanity to dwell that are not as hostile as this one. Further research will be needed, of course, but it is something to ponder.
Of course. If you believe that the Aoka weren't originally from here, then are you proposing that something else made this world?
I did not say that. It is far from certain what, if anything, created the world, be it Aoka or otherwise.
Was there anything else that you needed, Professor? Is there, in fact, actually I have a question for you. Is there anyone within the city of Karstop that you believe may be able to help, or perhaps a place that I could look into with anything regarding souls or the Aoka themselves, or
It is
Isho
said that Karstop was once a great library, had once a great library in the times before its current occupants. But as I'm sure you are aware, those current occupants do not hold to those ancient teachings. I would be surprised if you found anything there. But if you think it is your destiny, by all means go, and I dearly hope that you find something. But I know not what it would be.
I don't suppose you know anyone from there, an old colleague perhaps, or
All of my colleagues are dead. Which, perhaps you would find one there. But no, I cannot say for certain. It is a place apart. It is not a place that civilized people go.
Right. Well, I suppose it would be perfect for us then, eh? Alexander?
It is our specialty to get into trouble.
You have been awfully quiet, my friend. What are your thoughts on this matter? Are you eager to go to Karstop? What do you expect to find there?
A dark cloud covers the city. I don't know what I expect. I don't know if it's truly a good idea or not. But it seems our road lies that way nonetheless. I will go there.
Interesting. Well, if you have no other need of me, I have work to do, as I expect you do as well. Good luck on your journey. You will most certainly need it. Okay. Anastas. You and Constantine are leaving the city of Gareth, I assume.
That if there is no other incident on the way out, then yes, we would make our way back to Arkaedyva.
Oh, here we go. This is what I want. Though the midst of summer, you find the road curiously quiet as you leave the city of Gareth. The rustling of leaves and sounds of insects whirring and the howl of bird dogs all meld into a vague rumbling of your bones that, lost in thought as you have become, it is easy to forget about. What consumes Anastas's thoughts as they leave Gareth?
Deep concern over the state of Karstop. Deep concern over Valentian giving in to his memories of flesh. And a general sense of uneasiness moving forward. However, Anastas is reminded that following what they think the path of the pilgrim is has brought them to truth so far. And
Constantine, as you are walking, just says, our path has become complicated.
It was never simple, Constantine. Following the pilgrim's light is not as easy as a sunset or sunrise. It is not a light at the end of the tunnel. It is ever spanning and changing. It is important to remember that all that is right is what goes with it, and all that is wrong is what goes against it.
Does that mean that Valentian is with the pilgrim or against her?
That is not for us to describe at this moment, young squire. However, I'm sure you two were disturbed by Valentian's indulgences. Tell me, do you remember your living flesh yet?
It was not so long ago. Yes.
And by what force do you feel you hold a censer? By what means do you speak a prayer? Is it your decaying organs, your fraying muscles, your slipping flesh? What is it that gives me strength?
Is it our faith?
It is. But it is more than that, Constantine. It is your will to follow it. Your bones are not held in their sockets by tendons or sinew as they were. Feel them. They may not remain in their place. I've spent time walking with you at a pace at which you think you can maintain. But we Najit are much more than that. They may not need stay in their place. They may not remain in their home. Feel them stretch. Feel them strengthen. It is your will to follow the pilgrim's path that will enrich you and invigor you. Now I task you, young Constantine, to keep up with the Pravoslav as we return to Arkaedyva.
As you look up to begin your newly hastened pace, you realize that it has gotten quite dark. And up ahead, give me a vigilant check.
Success.
Okay. Distracted though you are, you hardly notice the afternoon fall away to night, and the world is wrapped in clear darkness. Up ahead, you notice something: firelight just off the road, flickering and dancing amidst the low, gnarled trees.
Moving?
No. Stationary. You are yet some way away from it, although the bonfire is quite large.
As we approach, Constantine, remain to my side away from this fire. We not know who commands it, be they friend or foe.
How do you wish to approach? Do you wish to circumvent, going off the road and into the forest, but away from the bonfire? Or do you wish to head towards it?
We will maintain our path.
Okay. Are you doing so, are you doing so stealthily?
At this point, as we approach, I want to remain vigilant of it. I want to collect information as we gather closer. But if it's just some people in a bonfire, Anastas is not concerned. If it comes a point that it's like we think it's Hadra, we'll take evasive action. Be it too late as it may be when we decide for that. But at this moment, Anastas is not concerned with a bonfire.
Yeah. And indeed, as you approach, it becomes clear that the creatures you are seeing are, in fact, Hadra, standing much higher than humans, and several of them are outfitted in iron armor covering them from head to toe. Thick plates all over their bodies. Unlike any armor you have seen Hadra wear before. The bonfire, at the center of it is an enormous stake, like an enormous pole. And tied to that pole, chained to it, are several humans and Najit. From here, you can hear them screaming in pain and agony as the fire consumes them. The Najit do not scream. They wordlessly accept their ultimate destruction. And amongst the Andara, you see one who carries a weapon. Like the fire staves, but much larger, thicker and hollow, enough that a stone the size of a human fist might fit inside. The Andara speak in joyous, exultant tones to one another. Though, speaking not their language, you do not understand them. At this point, they have not yet spotted you. But going any further on the road, and they most certainly will.
Constantine, say a prayer for those who have fallen. Steel yourself. This is not a foe. I alone, or even with you, may fell. It is important that we divert paths hastily and away from this direction. Forget your time in flesh. We do not tire. We do not sleep. We must flee. And Anastas will take a hard right, I imagine, and we are going to brave the wilds far and away, doing like an arcing curve.
Right.
As we can. We're not spending any time being quiet, but we are immediately bolting quickly in the other direction.
And you disappear into the forest. Okay. It has been 3 nights since meeting with the headmaster. Dorian, you sleep in your bed soundly. Alexander, you, however, are not sleeping soundly. I know I asked you to prepare something for this. I want you to tell us what dream Dorian has. And yes, it is the same dream that you have this night.
Okay, so okay, the
describe
reason.
your dream, but Dorian is seeing this as well as you.
Okay, cool. Alexander stands on a hill, surrounded by just tall grass. He's trying to make his way through it. It seems like as far as he keeps going in, the grass keeps growing longer and longer.
Does Dorian recognize this field of grass?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Someplace completely foreign.
It feels not just foreign, but otherworldly.
Okay.
Does
He keeps
Alexander know it? Oh, sorry.
completely unknown, we're gonna call it.
Okay.
He keeps pushing through, but again, the grass seems to keep getting taller and taller, enveloping him as he tries to free himself from these tall reeds until the realization dawns that it's not a grassy field anymore, but a forest. A dark forest. Mist in the air. Not a light to be seen. Except a small red glow in the distance. Coming closer and closer, ever so slightly. And no matter which way he turns, he sees it. It is a still silence. But this light keeps getting closer. And then disappears. Before behind him, he feels a presence and turns to see a hooded figure glowering over him. And it simply says, "A soul for a soul." And he wakes.
Dorian, before you wake, everything gets very, very dark. And you feel something moving around you. And a raspy voice that says, "The secrets are so succulent. I can smell them. Give me your secrets!" And then a face appears directly in front of you, huge and blank and horrifying, and at that, you wake up in a cold sweat.
I have no secrets! Oh. What in the blazes was that?
Where does Dorian find Alexander that morning?
Alexander sitting just at the table. Cup of coffee, steam rising from it. Just pensively, eyes closed. Sitting there.
Dorian, hair completely disheveled, huge dark circles under his eyes. He's rocking that Ebenezer Scrooge gown. And he shuffles down slowly, a cup, his little teacup rattling on the saucer as he takes a sip. How did you sleep?
Worse than normal. I take it you had a difficult night yourself?
Difficult than most. More difficult than most, yeah. I saw you in my dream.
Did
Saw
you
you in
now?
a field. And as you moved, all of the grass grew up larger and larger around you until it became this huge forest, and there was this strange red light floating around before it disappeared, and then you sensed something behind you, and you quickly turned around, and this hooded figure told you a soul for a soul. And then you disappeared. Everything disappeared. I couldn't see anything. But I heard and felt this thing moving around, asking for my secrets. And this horrifying visage appeared, screeching at me for my secrets. And then I woke up.
Fascinating. Dorian, I do not mean to alarm you, but I had the same, and I believe it's come back for me.
What is it, Alexander? What in the world have you done now?
Not now, but what I did long ago.
All right. What was that thing, Alexander? If you know, you need to tell me.
So much death.
What the fuck?
Dorian, that thing saw in the forest. I think we'll be seeing more of it come in the future.
Oh, brilliant! That's just what Whoa. What was it? What? How did you see this? What do you know about it?
I wish I knew, to tell you the truth.
Oh my God.
That's the most interesting part.
More vagueness.
Those things
more
you see as a
secrets,
child.
Secrets.
Exactly. So many secrets.
At this point, Anastas bursts in. Just the door bursts open. Anastas runs in.
Mr. Filch goes flying.
I imagine it was a little bit more of a tactful arrival.
Yes.
I don't know.
Graceful.
Anastas arrives.
I'm out.
Suddenly,
Anastas is imminent.
I imagine I told Constantine to return to the area to kind of check on things.
Sure, yeah.
From whence he came.
Good morning, Anastas. Rough night too?
You and your bloody secrets. And I keep, I'm like pacing, my hair is insane.
Anastas does give a poised look over at Alexander at the mention of secrets. I felt like we had a conversation about that. But rough is not the word. However, I am here. Pray tell, how have you been enjoying your time on the council, young Dorian?
Oh, it's been awful, Anastas.
That is no way to approach such a station.
Oh, I know. I fear I don't have it in me. I can't follow all of this prattling and complaining constantly.
I have no clue how one can decipher the scripts of the Hadra, throw fire from their hands, and approach lords from other realms, yet they cannot process their everyday duties. However, I apologize. They have not been kind to you. You doubt yourself too much, Dorian. You are more than capable.
Oh, I'm perfectly capable of all of the Hadron techs. I want to be out there. I want to explore. I don't want to be stuck in this dingy office talking to these blowhards all day.
Well, then it is fortuitous that I have arrived when I have.
Speaking of, how did things go in Geth?
They went less than expected. However, good word has been sent to my kind, and I feel both of us know where we must journey next.
Yes, of course. off to Karstop.
One does not simply go off to Karstop. However, Alexander,
Anastas?
I apologize for interrupting your conversation, but one has not been up to their antics, have they?
Not recently.
Well, I fear our time in Arkaedyva is coming to its close. Do we feel as though the city is safe? Is it stable?
Oh, gods no, but it's much better than when we arrived.
We take our victories where we can. I do wonder, where has that old Hadron been? Do you think of him?
Stone?
The same.
From time to time, yeah.
He's a pilgrim.
He is not. However, I am curious.
Watch your words carefully, Alexander.
He is a traveler.
I find myself oddly concerned. Well, my arrangements have been arranged. For when can we leave?
I could
My
be ready
affairs
to
are in
go.
order.
We could be ready to go within a few hours.
Well, while there is daylight, such would be wise. I found on my way back the Hadra are moving, and they are enjoying their travels in a way that I do not think we would agree.
Well, what do you mean? What did you see?
What best? They are armed, they are dangerous, they are killing us.
Where are they headed?
I found a group on the road burning several Najit and humans alike joyously upon a bonfire.
Do you know which direction they were heading to or from?
Well, they were stationary, young Dorian, and they were between here and Gareth, and Kostop is Gareth is between here and Kostop.
All right.
Leads along the road.
All I am saying is the path ahead may not be kind to us, not that the path here has been specifically gentle.
It never is.
And that may be getting worse.
Of that I am certain.
Thankfully, we have gained strength, and with strength, we have gained faith. Well, I'll be waiting at you at the gates. Prepare for travel.
We'll
It's
move
good to
quickly
see
and
you.
light. It's good to see you as well, my friend.
Dorian will of course get dressed, get packed, but more importantly, go and visit his mom and dad. We don't have to go through each of these. I just want to make it clear that he is saying his farewells.
We got to go through some stuff. If there is anything else you guys want to do in Arkaedyva, now is the time to do so. We will have our goodbyes in a little bit, but if there are any loose ends that you guys need to tie up, this is your opportunity.
Anastas certainly wants to check on the state of the Najit in Crispin's.
Yeah.
Whether or not we want to make it a scene, if it's appropriate, but
it is. Okay. We do not need to make it a scene. However, you do learn that the Najit in Crispin's have been put to a particular task. As you recall, the lumidium crystals under the city have been inaccessible because of the high amount of corruption down there. Feral Najit are not susceptible to the corruption as they have already been corrupted. So the followers of the Pilgrim have been using them to mine lumidium crystals as they are immune. However, it just requires using a little bit of magic to guide them to do the things that you need to do. Enforce your will upon them.
Yeah.
Yay, slave labor.
They're dead.
You guys have skeleton slaves, skeleton mining slaves now. Congratulations.
Better than not skeleton.
Whoa, wait, what's this we?
Hey,
Hold
you're
up.
on the council, my friend.
Well, I mean,
I did
I'm
not vote
incredibly
I did
impressed
not vote
at
for
the
that measure.
application. And
Posterity.
I certainly put I get Constantine up to speed, or I get put up to speed. We get Constantine up to speed, and we put Constantine specifically in charge of guiding and maintaining control over those individuals. I think this operation is good and is appropriate use for them to mesh with the city. Maybe they're looked on and discussed, but they are being serviceable. Constantine would be the face between them and the council and the university. And then maintaining that the one of two helpers are still working with the corrupted in the church. And the other of the two is specifically in charge of Dorian's father, which we have requested.
Dorian, do you want to say goodbye to your father, or do you want to do something else first?
So I actually had a thing. You said it was about 3 days since we had visited the professor.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we kind of take that, rewind it back a bit? And I was hoping like the next day to go and speak with the professor a little more about these lumidium crystals. We don't have to do a scene for it. I'm more or less looking for does he know how it functions in like with these does it absorb the corruption from this thing? Do these crystals absorb it? And then like somehow that is powering them?
Oh, that's
number
interesting.
one. And number two, are we able to potentially use the energy that is coming from these crystals, much the same as regular lumidium crystals? Like, could we perhaps use the god, this Aoka that's sitting on our front lawn, and utilize these crystals to like power something from it?
So you're going to do some purple lumidium crystal research, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the research this is a very new field of study. So I actually want you to be the one who is going to conduct these experiments and see what can be done with this stuff. And I'm going to ask for a it's not intelligence, cunning. Is it a cunning check? Thank you.
Okay. Any modifiers at all?
No, let's just do it straight and see what happens.
Okay. That's a crit.
Oh, god damn. Of course. This is the shit that you guys get crits on. Okay. So to answer your questions to the best of my ability, no, the purple lumidium is not actually absorbing the corruption as best you can tell. You have very limited ways of determining whether there's more or less corruption in a place other than more lumidium crystals. But it appears to you that it is not absorbing, it is simply reacting to. It's not a refined lumidium, so it's not able to store a whole lot of charge to be used like as ammunition for a bolt thrower or something like that. But it can be used as a light, although in an area of high corruption, that may or may not be useful. It could be put into a lamp or something of that nature, but as of right now, since the luminium you have is not holding a whole lot of charge, its applications, as you see them, are a little minimal.
Okay. But if it were, it may be able to power something.
Correct.
Okay. Good to know. And then,
the
yes, I would...
refining process, however, has been lost to you. You recall that all of the refined luminium you've had to discover in ruins, but
Yes.
perhaps you could find the secret to refining luminium in a place that has Hadron knowledge, and Karstop might be the place to find it.
Okay, then yes, I would like to visit my father once
There's one
go
other
back.
errand that I thought for sure that you would be undertaking. And that is to go see the other professor, Professor Callan.
Ah. Yes, of course.
It's the boot bag, bro.
The what?
There's definitely another errand that he needs to run
That is
before
not an
he leaves
errand, that
the
is a
city.
necessity before we leave.
Oh, sorry. God.
You gotta go check on
So
Honey Charlie,
it's
bro.
not on your itinerary, but it is on your itinerary.
It's gonna fucking happen. I mean,
Okay.
I would imagine I
Just
see
wanna
her on a
make
daily
sure
basis. Of
there's-
course, Millie is going to be seen.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got like 7 people I gotta talk to. All right.
Okay. Thank you. You said your parents and nothing else, and there was a concern.
My parents, the professor, the head professor, the headmaster.
2 different professors.
There's
though,
Millie.
Before Millie, like.
And then obviously Bill the baker or whatever the fuck was going on at the bakery. That's important.
With
Punch him in the throat with them
Yeah.
fuck ass fucking.
Dude, as far as you're concerned, that baker is killing your father.
That's why I want to go have a talk with him.
Okay.
Burn
So
that place to the ground.
Last we spoke with Professor Callan, you had agreed that Professor Callan would translate the journal for you in exchange for something. I don't recall. I don't actually recall what the deal was.
I was trying to not let him do it originally, but he talked me into it because he felt that it was like his only purpose left in life.
Yeah, but then you were like, I'll let you do this, but you have to do something for me.
Yes, we had to go see his family.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And they were not chill.
They were not chill. Didn't care. At all. They were dicks.
They had their own problems.
Yeah.
And that quest line was not pursued. And here we are.
No, it wasn't.
Too late now, bitch.
Professor Callan's study is dark. The only light coming in dimly from the lights outside in the hall and from the small window at the top of the study. The candles have burned to nothing long ago. On the table sits an impressive black tome. You can almost feel the heat radiating off of it. The elderly man sits in a chair, staring towards the wall. As you open the door further and light spills in upon him, you see that both of his hands have been burned to blackened stumps, scarred and malformed.
Professor? Are you alright?
He does not answer or stir as you approach. The only movement you notice is a gentle rocking back and forth.
Professor Cullen. And I'll kind of like get down and kneel in front of him, placing a hand on his arm.
When you reach him, you notice with horror the ruin that is the man's face. Both his eyes have been burned out to empty holes. Pus oozes from them down his face and into his mouth, which hangs limply open, dry and cracked as if he has not moved it for hours or perhaps days.
Help! Help somebody!
Several students and faculty come in, seeing what is happening, and after some discussion, he is ferried off down to the infirmary to receive whatever attention they can give him, and you are left alone in the room, and your eyes are drawn again to that black tome.
My jaw is still hanging open, and I look over at that book. And I pick it up.
The original, which was copied into your journal, was a small, worn thing filled with cramped, jagged script. This translation, however, seems to have taken on a life of its own. The script is flowing and sharp as fire, set upon a sturdy binding of black, which seems almost to have been burned. It is warm to the touch, and stirs as you appraise it, seeming to lick like tongues of fire at the edges of your mind. The work is several hundred pages long. It's going to take you days, maybe weeks on the road to get through it all. And you shudder to think what will happen to you should you read it.
I place it into my bag.
I apologize. Before you do so, you can you glimpse the title, which reads "The Book of the Unmade," and then you stash it in your satchel.
I kind of squint at that for a moment. Does Dorian recognize that that
No.
title? Okay.
Not at all.
It's curious. I'll stash it in my bag, and then I will make my way back to the manor.
Back at the manor, Millie has all of your bags packed. She is running through a list with you, making sure that you have second pairs of socks and underwear and everything that you could possibly need for your journey, including full itinerary of where you will be and when you will be there, and the letters that you will send to her to ensure that you are at those places when you say you will be.
Yes, dear.
Now, are you sure you brought your extra socks?
Yes, dear.
Where are they? I want to make sure that they're here. You don't want to get gangrene.
They're right there, right next to the other pair. And yes, I have the foot powder and my toothbrush as well for the third time.
Okay, I just want you to be prepared.
I literally could not be with you as my girl.
Yeah, I sort of imagine that you're all sort of like gathered around, like getting all of the luggage together, preparing for the journey. Sybil, your mother, is there, and she's a little distant. Pleasant, but it is clear her mind is elsewhere. She says offhandedly, "I still do not understand why it must be you who takes this perilous journey after just having returned from a similar one in which you nearly got yourself killed, but you're an adult and you need to make your own decisions no matter how foolish and misguided they may be." Alexander, you, in comparison to Dorian, I assume have packed pretty light. And as you are doing so and goodbyes are said, hugs are had, you are pulled aside by Bridget. She looks at you and is clearly troubled. Look, I'm sorry for the way that things, you know.
It was a difficult time for us all.
I'm sorry that things are complicated, she says, casting a glance towards Raleigh.
Use your words, guys.
You want me to use my words?
I don't have the faintest idea what you mean.
Well, just promise me you'll come back.
I I plan to. Dorian, gotta get him back to Millie, of course. He's he needs all the help he can get, the poor lad. You'll do well. Of course.
Oh yeah,
Apologies.
we'll be fine. Yeah.
Yes. Raleigh is on the council. That's good. That's good.
I've got something for you.
Oh.
You're going into a right viper's nest here, and I want to make sure you're prepared.
Not the first time.
She hands you a small vial. This is the good stuff. But only use it if you've got no other options.
Now we are talking dangerously, aren't we? No experience with it myself. Is it difficult the first time?
It hurts like hell. Just...
Oh, it's that shit. Sorry.
Yeah. It, just try to stay focused. It's the hardest part.
I hope it never comes to that, but I thank you for the silver bullet, so to speak.
And I've got something else. She pulls out a mask. This mask is a little different than the ones you've seen before. This one is in the shape of a skull. In fact, it looks disturbingly like a skull. I figure if you're going to be in the city of the dead, well, you might need to move around unseen.
I definitely appreciate that. The more discreet, the better. I will not ask where this came from, but I appreciate it.
She kind of like looks back and forth and gives you a small kiss on the cheek before whispering to you, "Stay amongst the living while you can," and then disappears before you can respond.
You too? For the first time in this entire campaign, Alexander is flustered.
Yeah! We did it!
We got him!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
He just kind of stands there with a skull in his hands.
Awesome. Okay.
The mute button is... It's serving me well this campaign, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Dorian. There's one other person that you need to say goodbye to. Your father is not amongst the people who is in this in the hall here making preparations for this journey. He's not feeling up to it, and in fact, he hasn't been feeling up to it for weeks. Your mother shoots you a dirty glance, and says, "Well, you better go say goodbye. It might be the last words you say to him." And then storms off. Oscar Caldwell lies in his bed, a weak husk of even the smallish man he had been. His face is pale, at once sunken and swollen. He smiles deeply when you enter and opens his mouth to speak, but between bits of coughing and stuttering, he manages barely more than your name.
All right, Father. I come in, kneel down beside his bed, and just take his hand in mine and give it a little squeeze. I'm going to make my way to Karstop, Father. And I'm going to try and find a way to help you.
He sort of smiles. There are tears in his eyes, and he just says, I'm fine.
I know you are, but we'll make you even better. I kind of rub the back of his hand with my thumb a bit and pat it with my other.
I'm so proud of you. You're man I always wanted to be.
Oh, you're killing me. Dorian sniffles at that, tears brimming in his eyes. I always just wanted to be like you, Father.
He shakes his head at that. You're better than me.
And I best keep at it.
smiling, sort of like tears welling in his face. He looks at you and he just squeezes your hand, just says, okay. Unable to say anything else.
Okay. And I'll lean in. I'll kiss him on the forehead. I love you, Father. Goodbye.
Okay.
I'll turn to leave.
Okay. You make your preparations for leaving, mount up on horses, gather your packs, and head off out of the city and towards the west, towards Karstop. As the Arkaedyvans mount up and leave the city behind, Stone readies for his own journey to Karstop. There will be many trials you must undergo to earn the blessings of the Aoka. Be strong. I know that you know their teachings better even than I. Is there anything that you wish before you go?
Only to ask, even knowing the answer. Can you not come with me? Can you not tell them what you have told me?
My people hold me in such regard that my being there would only be a burden to you, and they would not believe me. Their path has diverged from mine. I also have other matters to attend, though I cannot say more of them.
Then, wherever you go, little pilgrim, may Isho watch over you.
We shall meet again, Stone. I am sure of it.
As am I.
As you walk up the uneven, worn stone steps back the way you came, away from that black sea behind you, you notice the priest, the nameless priest who you had met upon first coming here, your guide, sitting on the stair, muttering to himself. No, it is gone. It is gone. He turns and he looks up at you. You were the cause of this. You have broken my rule, the one law of this place. You must die. There is no other way. Forgive me. There is no other way. And he brandishes 2 knives and he comes at you. And that is where we are going to end the session for today.
God damn.
Oh, fuck.
God damn.
Stone, did you use names?
This season's gonna be fucking bad.
Oh,
Fucking lit.
Dude, not the Najid are so far and away from being able to comprehend anything that you just learned. I don't think Anastas is even ready. I am so excited for not only the first time that interaction is described to Anastas, but for the subsequent like acceptance whenever it comes, because it's going to be ugly and violent
It's
and
gonna be
stupid.
bad.
It's going to be nasty.
What the
And-
fuck? Okay, wait a second. Also, okay, hold on. What the fuck is going on with Alexander? What is that thing?
We know what that thing is. He fucked with it at Isho's grave.
Yeah,
We
but
know.
there's clearly something else happening here.
Oh yeah,
We know what one of the things are.
it's the consequences of his actions.
You're an onion.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording here. So for everyone who's joined us, thank you so much. And we will be back in 2 weeks.